today's video is for the nosy ones of you out there, the same as me, who would like to know what charities I give to and why. And the reason I'm making this is because you might have already seen I did a video about Doing Good Better, which is a book that kind of explains effective altruism, which is all about which charities get the most value for money and trying to decide very complicated ethical divisions about everybody's in need, so how do you choose who to give to, all that kind of stuff. I did a whole video about that book, so I would highly recommend that you watch that. But that was quite a long time ago now that I read that and then I made that video, so I thought it'd be interesting to have a little follow-up about where I actually give and the things I give to that apply with effective altruism and the things I give to that are like totally disobeying the theory, to kind of balance the two. So I would love to know in the comments which charities you give to, which your favourites are, and why, because all causes are good causes. Like anywhere that you give to, any penny you give to charity is making a difference, but how do we choose, because it's so overwhelming. So here we go. So the first one that I give to is effective altruism. You can give directly to them and then they distribute the money based on their like science of which charities have the biggest impact. So they're the main people that I give to every month. And the second one that I give to is also related to effective altruism, and it's called Cool Earth, and they recommend it in the book as a way to combat your carbon footprint. So I give to them every month as well as effective altruism. I don't know if effective altruism give to Cool Earth, I don't think that they do, but Cool Earth to me seems really cool. It helps people protect their rainforest so that it doesn't need to be cut down, so that it can absorb all the carbon. Don't ask me about the science of it, but I think it sounds really amazing. And what they do is they're very tactical about which areas of rainforest they target, because if you can build a barrier of people who won't let the deforestation happen, then everything behind them is protected, if you know what I mean. So I found that explanation of the charity in the book really, really interesting. I immediately started giving to them because my carbon footprint is pretty large because of travelling. There's lots of things I don't do, like buying clothes new. I've cut down on meat a lot, but let's be honest, like the aeroplanes is a big thing. So I like to give to them to try and counteract carbon footprint at least a bit. Then the third one that I give to is something that effective altruism I think didn't super approve of, and that is kind of microfinancing and giving direct to the kind of end user. So I give to Kiva, which is a like loans company. So they find people all over the world, in developing countries but also in developed countries, who need a relatively small amount of money in order to invest upfront in something to improve their lives. So for example, they need to buy stock upfront for their little kiosk shop in Venezuela, and then they'll be able to buy the stocks, then they can sell it for a larger profit and they will eventually pay you back the money. And the reason that I like that is that I like to support business, I like to support women in business, I like to support developing countries, I like to support individuals, and also because you get the money back, you can re-gift it again. So I'll have up on the screen how much I've put in and how much I've managed to turn it into, because every time you put in £25, after the amount of time varies, but after 3 or 6 months normally, you get that money back and you can lend it to someone again on Kiva. So I do quite often get tempted to put more money in, so I think I've put in about £100. But I've loaned that 100 out multiple times to multiple people, so that I think it's now like about 300 or 400, which is super cool. So that's something that I really like, is that you get it back so you can give it again. I know there are some questions about whether it's kind of putting them into a cycle of debt because there's this loan, but I do happen to know that Kiva, actually everyone on the website has already been given the money, because it's too complicated to give them half of it and then withdraw the funding. They need to know. So Kiva has approved them and given them the money, and then Kiva kind of recoups it from you, and I expect they have a kind of insurance underwriter if it doesn't get paid back. So I quite like that everybody on the site has already actually been given the money. It's not going to get randomly taken away from them. But if you know more about micro loans and like direct funding like that, I'd be interested to know. But for me, Kiva seems like a really cool way to multiply my donations. The next one that I give to is one which is probably the least related to effective altruism, and that is my church in my hometown. I haven't done a video about religion, and I'm not particularly religious, but I did grow up with church being a big part of my life, and this church that I belong to is is like my family, and I always go back when I'm back in the UK, and they do a lot of community work, and for me that's the most important thing a church can do. I don't believe in churches that have big gold and expensive, you know, salaries and all those kind of things. I love to visit old traditional churches with their big gold spires, and they're a piece of history and they're a museum, but as an active church, I want my church to be spending their money on the community, and giving back and like showing God's love that way. My church do a lot of work with the homeless. They do a food bank, so I really like the work that my church does in the local community, and it's just such a uplifting and community-based place that I really like to support them, so I give to them on a monthly basis. But I'm sure Effective Altruism would say my money could go a lot further if I was spending it on deworming in Africa, which is a big thing that they support, to keep kids in school and save lives, and yes, giving money to a comparatively wealthy group in the UK doesn't fit with those like rules, but I like to see some of my money going back into the homeless and the needy community where I'm from. So those are all the things that I give to on a kind of monthly direct debit formal basis, but then I thought I would also just add in a few random things that are my kind of charities of choice when I'm being more spontaneous. So I do like to give to homeless charities. I like to give to charities when I travel, so I don't like to give to people on the street. I don't like to give to beggars, and I don't like to give to homeless people, but I really like to give to charities that support those groups. So normally if I go to India and, you know, I see this huge cycle of poverty, then I will give to a charity that combats that, that's based in India. So that's kind of how I like to put my money where my mouth is, and deal with the suffering that you see when you're traveling. So I give to homeless charities, I give to like international poverty charities, that kind of thing, but that's more just on a kind of ad hoc impulse basis depending on where I'm traveling and all that kind of thing. And then my real soft spot is for dogs. Our family dog is from a rescue centre in Romania who take dogs off the street that have been abused or abandoned. They kind of fix them up, and they send them over to the UK if they can find someone who wants to adopt them. So I have a total soft spot for that charity. They often do like direct shout outs on Facebook saying they need money to buy food or this and that, so I quite often give to those on like just on PayPal as like a spontaneous thing. Then of course if my friends are doing a fun run or an ab sale or whatever like that, then I normally end up giving a bit of money to them. I generally prefer, if I can, to give to Effective Altruism or give to a charity where I think the money is going further, but you know, the social pressures, you do kind of have to give to the things that your friends are doing. So swings and roundabouts on that one. Given the choice, I like to give to Effective Altruism and charities that follow that kind of ethos, but it's not always an option. And then of course the last area is all the charity shops that I buy from. All of my clothes, like 99%, are secondhand from charity shops or op shops or thrift shops depending on which country you're in, and when you shop at those the money is going to charity, which is super cool. And there's also the non-financial benefits of employment, of reboosting the high street, of them getting a physical place where they can advertise their events and their services and meet their users. So charity shops, obviously this would not be a surprise to you that I totally love them, and I do consider that a way that I give to charity. And then also anytime I have something which feels like I'm going to send it to landfill, I try and see if there's a way that I can give it to a charity. So you don't want to just give crap to charity shops. It's a big problem for them and they have to spend a lot of money on having crap taken away. But I know Madeline and Olivia was saying the other day that they ripped up the carpet because they're refurbishing their house, and they found a charity that wanted the carpet to be able to help someone who couldn't afford to furnish their home. I've done similar things with sleeping bags. I think quite often charity shops can't take sleeping bags, but we found a homeless charity that wanted them. Things like that. So try and get creative, see if there's a way that you can pass something on rather than sending it to landfill. But on the flip side, please don't give stuff to charity shops that is just totally useless. So I really hope you guys found that interesting, a chance to be a little bit nosy into my bank account and what I do with my hard-earned money, but I hope that was interesting to you to kind of hear some of my perspectives on charity and which ones I believe in and where I break the like Effective Altruism rules, even though I really agree with the rules. You know what I mean. So I really hope that was useful. I would love to know in the comments what charities you guys give to, and I will see you guys in next week's video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!